Okay, I'm just gonna get right into it. This happened about 10 years ago. Well, starting when I was like 20, which is quite a while ago. I started getting really into the New Age. I studied a lot of like Buddhism, Hinduism, yoga, all the self-godhead type doctrines, which also include drug use like acid, mushrooms, weed, MDMA, anything you can kind of get your hand on to make yourself feel like you're actually connected to the universe. Not the case. But yeah, I definitely went down that path for quite a while. I idolized rock stars and wanted to be a rock star musician type. I thought it was, you know, a lot of power in that and some kind of, all that beatnik stuff and the electrical acid test and it's basically just all the same Luciferian lie that ye shall be as gods, and it's just constantly repackaged into new and attractive, pretty boxes, but can lead people into serious darkness. And I just wanted to share my story about what happened. Once I was pretty high on weed, and I was playing guitar and singing, and I felt within my spirit, I was crawling out of this dark pit, and there's like this light at the top, and it's hard to explain, but like when you're stoned, you have this like inner world kind of that happens, and you can picture things while you're just staring off into space, basically. And so my spirit was in this pit, and I was crawling out of the top of it, and it was really, really spiritually heavy to try to crawl out of this hole. But I knew that if I kind of got to the edge of the pit, I would be able to like break through this wall, almost this like barrier. Um, and so I did. I kind of mustered and faced the fear within myself and broke through. And as soon as I did, I started channeling because I started singing these words that were not mine and melodies that were not mine. It's kind of difficult to describe it. It was really, really crazy poetry that was really beautiful, or at least I thought it was beautiful. I didn't record it or anything. I think at one point I was even crying because it just felt so like powerful to me. That stopped, like the song was over, and I kind of felt this like very elevated sense of self afterwards. Like I had transcended something. And I think this is really tied into this doctrine, this new age doctrine, where we're supposed to like overcome ourselves and all of this stuff. And I felt very powerful, and I didn't even want to like come back down from that high. I wanted to sort of stay there. Yeah, afterwards, after this happened, I really believe that I opened some kind of doorway or door that allowed these evil spirits to start harassing me in my life. It started with me, like anytime I was alone in a room, the room would start to sort of feel really evil suddenly and like kind of almost close in on me in a pressure sort of way. And then I would feel like something was trying to suck the soul out of the top of my head like a vacuum. And it was just this horrible feeling. Like I wanted to just like hang on to my soul, but I couldn't because this demonic thing was sort of trying to pull it out of the top of my head. And I would sometimes end up like in the corner of a room, like freaking out, kind of like rocking back and forth a bit, just hoping it would stop. And then as soon as someone else came into the room, it would go away. That happened kind of like once a week, maybe kind of sporadically. I didn't really think too much of it, but as I started to worry a little bit, then other things started happening. Like I would be going to sleep and there would be this tapping above my bed, like distinctive finger tapping above my head, usually about 3 times in this like menacing kind of like tap, 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 tap. It just horrible. And I would just lay there like, is this really happening? Is this really happening? Just freaky weird. And then like blinds would go up. I remember once I was laying in my bed and all of a sudden this blind just like flipped up. And I was like, okay, you kind of talk yourself down from these things. You're like, while they're happening, you're like, it's not a big deal. I guess it was just like a blind just needed to go up, like whatever. And then, but it started to get worse really. It would often be like as I was going to bed, all of a sudden, like the blanket in my room on the couch or something would sort of shift. Like it was almost like the room would shift into this new dimension of not a portal, but like things would just shift and become evil. Like the couch and the blanket would like take this sinister tone, even though they wouldn't change visually. It just, I would get scared of like the blanket. It was really, really odd. And this would happen. So this would happen. This probably happened over a period of a few months after I did that channeling thing. And then one time I was just in my room, and all of a sudden I got completely exhausted, like to a point I couldn't hardly stand. And so I just like crawled into bed, could barely make it there, and fell asleep right away. Had this like really strange dream about like some explosions in the sky, and there was like some kind of calamity. My dreams are always really weird and intense, so that itself wasn't that wild to me. The dream was sort of telling me by way of like emojis that I had like kind of gone too far in my curiosity on this path. And then I woke up really frightened, just like, what the heck? And I leaned over to turn on my nightlight. And as I leaned over, this cold, dead corpse hand grabbed my neck. And I was like, oh my God, like, what? I pulled myself back, sat up in my bed, and above me was a priest, like the top half of a priest, floating. And I can't remember if his finger was over his mouth or if he was shaking his finger at me, but he was telling me telepathically to not do this anymore, like to don't go there, like stop what you're doing. And then he floated into the wall. Okay, so I laid back down in my bed and I was like, I just saw that. I'm awake. What is going on? I'm sitting there like terrified. There's a cold dead hand on the left of me. A priest is like in the wall over there. Terrified. Like, what is happening? I'm losing my mind. And all of a sudden I just called on Jesus. I was like, Jesus, please come help me. Please save me from this nightmare. And all of a sudden my whole body was filled with this glowing, pure light and feeling of spirit that was like a shield. It was loving, it was comforting, it was protective, it was very powerful, and it filled my entire being. And I could sense, even though my eyes were closed, I could sense that it was expanding out into the room, and everything just like it was, that was it. And then I fell asleep. I don't remember the dream or anything I had after that. I probably didn't have any dreams. And then I woke up the next day like, what happened last night? Do you know what I mean? Like, it was just like, was I there? Did that like, but I wrote it all down because I didn't want to forget what happened. And yeah, nothing ever bothered me ever again after that. So I never really did that kind of channeling thing, even though I unfortunately didn't get saved in that moment because I was still like a bit on the fence. And like, but I definitely honored Jesus Christ after that. Whenever anyone would ask me, you know, what's your faith? Like, what do you believe? I'd be like, well, Jesus is pretty great, I think. And sometimes I would tell them about this experience. Sometimes I wouldn't. But yeah, it took me a while to truly find my faith. But I will never ever forget that. The way he came into my body without hesitation, it was just the most amazing thing ever. And these things never bothered me again. So this is just sort of me telling anyone out there who's dabbling in this new age lie of achieving self-godhood. Really bad demonic stuff can start harassing you in your life. Like, I'm pretty sure my situation was a mild one. So I just, it sounds so seductive because, even years later, I was like, I still think maybe, I've just got to reach my potential and, drink and smoke weed and do edibles. And it's just horrible. Like, I have had so many delusions on these drugs and fake enlightenment, and you just end up angry and depressed and addicted and seeking. And once you give your life to Christ, once you believe and trust in him fully, he takes the darkness out of you. I think someone else said it, like, he just starts looking around your heart and like, we got to do some cleaning up in here. And he starts sweeping and redecorating and making himself home there. And so if anyone's wondering what is the truth out there, I'm telling you that he is the truth, just like he said he was. All of this demonic enlightenment stuff, it's all part of the New World Order. It's Luciferian, and it's going to be part of this new age religion that will be part of the Antichrist system. And all of these celebrities and like all the hippie movement and drug stuff was CIA organized. Like there's all kinds of organizations like Tavistock and I can't remember the other one, the Echelon Institute and Joe Rogan, and all these people are CIA affiliated agents to help like push this fake enlightenment on people and build them up to be ready for this massive deception that's coming. I don't know what form it's going to take exactly, whether it's going to be aliens or AI or what, but they're going to deceive so many people, and this is all written of in the Bible. Massive deception will fall on the earth and blind those who delight in wickedness. I'm paraphrasing, so please look up the passage. I don't have it on my brain right now. And I believe that that's it. So stay away from it. Turn to Christ. Do it now. Time is short. I'm being pressed to make these videos just to get content out there, get these stories out there, and warn people of things that are coming. For anyone watching, I hope this message reaches your heart, and I hope that he reaches your heart too. So thank you for listening. God bless.